Alright guys, so the other day I was at Hobby Lobby and my cousin and I were looking at the fabric and I saw this beautiful fabric and I couldn't afford it. So my cousin was like, well, if you really want it, what are you going to do with it? And I said, I don't know. So I thought about it once I got it home, and I decided that I didn't want to cut it up. So I'm going to make my curtains. And as you guys know, my windows don't have any treatment on them right now because I can't find curtains like I want. So this is the fabric, and it's basically, I'll put in some stills of it. Basically Beauty and the Beast themed. So, and I have 2 yards, which isn't quite enough to do both of my windows. So I decided I was going to add a little border on the top of it, probably 4 inches, and behind it, instead of using, I don't want the sun to hit the back of it, so I decided it was cheaper for me to do 2 flat sheets that are twin size, for me to buy the fabric to make the back as much as possible. Because I have a westerly facing window, the light is really bright, especially when we're trying to cut things. There's a makeshift sheet hanging over. My daughter-in-law put it up so that it wasn't quite so bright in here. So I'm going to show you how I intend to make my curtains. So stay tuned. First, I'm going to go over here. I got this lovely item on Amazon, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. This is the best. I have my favorite cutting apparatus. And my sister's in the background sewing. She's sewing up the rest of the quilt that we're going to go deliver tomorrow to our friend Stephanie. Stephanie's in a wheelchair, and her birthday was last Sunday, and I decided that it was almost finished, and I was like, I just don't know what I want to do with it. I was going to put it in an exhibit, and I decided not to. So I decided she needs it, you know, so we extended it out so that it would go over her wheelchair. She could be covered. So, but I'll show you that in another video. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square this up on my table. And what I do, due to being visually impaired, is that I fold it so that I can get ready to cut my salvage edge off. So it's evened out. So I put this in the corner of a square. And then I just kind of square it up along my line. And then I flatten it out, and it looks like I need a little bit more room, because when you use this cutter, it rides all the way to the end, but not really. So you have the stops on each end. So I need to figure in an extra 1/2 inch to 1 inch so that I get enough cutting space. So let me raise this up 1 set of blocks, and I'm going to square that up. I'm really short, and my table is tall. Okay, and I'm cutting through several layers of fabric, so I do know that I'm going to have to turn it around and cut again. Make sure all of my edges are together. So you take this doohickey shape. This track that it rides on is 1 inch wide. So what I do is I square it up. Get my safety pins out of the way. I need a bigger table. I actually need a bigger room. I need a room that's got less wall problems, because as you guys know, this is the top of our house. There's no attic space, and the rooms follow the roof line. So, all right. So I'm gonna get this, bring my blade back down, and this is a rotary cutter. This isn't a paper trimmer. So, and I put that there, and I square that up. And I make sure to get a square all the way around as best as I can. Alright, so get this straight. And what I do is I just line it up with the lines, and then I make sure that it's straight at the top. All right, I'm going to come up here and make sure that it's all the way and square it up. Okay. Okay, I'm still squaring it up. All right, so I've got it all squared up, and I lay my ruler down. And like I said, I do already know that I'm going to have to make a double pass. So, you push down on the cutter. I usually have to lay on it. Okay, so half of it is cut. Let me come over here and trim off the piece that I've already got cut. Leave that straight. So I'm going to come over here and take my handy dandy scissors, and I'm just going to go choppity 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 right there. And then these go in the scrap bucket, and then I come back with the cutter and I do it again. So now it's all the way through, all except for right up here. So I slide that out of the way a little bit, pull this to me, and I take my handy dandy trusty dusty scissors, and I just kind of, there we go. That's all cut. Okay, so you'll see that there's just a tad bit of salvage showing. I'm not really worried about it. So let's even up my ends. Same way. Kind of unfold it. And make sure that I'm even all the way around. As even as I can be. And pull that up there. Let's try this way. And then I'm going to basically take my straight edge that I've just created, and I'm gonna set that there. And I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna take my folded edges and make sure that my lines are straight. Alright, so now I'm gonna cut off my ragged edges where it was cut from the bolt. Alright, so now that that's done, I'm going to cut this fabric free. Like I said, it sometimes doesn't go all the way to the edge. There we go. Okay, I'm done with this little thing now. Hang that up, because stepping on it isn't any fun. Alright, so my window behind me is shorter, not as long as the window behind where I sit. And I'm gonna cut this into 2 pieces. And then those 2 pieces into 4 pieces, so that I have 2 panels. I've ironed my crease so that I know where to cut. And I have that sitting on the 25. So we go up here. We slide this. This is my weight for today. Okay. Alright, so we come back and get the cutter. Again, link in the description. I got it from Amazon. Didn't spend as much money as you'd think I did. I put this on the 25. And then we're going to come up here. This is how a sight impaired person does things. I check and recheck all the time. That's just because I want to make sure I have it done right. So we put this on the 25. Come down here, make sure it's on the 25. It is. And everything's ready, set. 1 pass. 2 passes up. It's free. Now I have a free piece. Alright, now I'm going to separate this piece of yardage to make my 2 panels. Again, we get my fancy dancy weight here. Let me lay that there. I've already squared it up. And now we're just going to cut it. And put that over there. Ignore the human that just walked by. This is my son. Close enough for hand grenades and horseshoes at this point. All right. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make sure that my top is where it needs to be. But yeah, for those of you who are just tuning into my channel, I am legally blind due to glaucoma. And this is how I sew. I cut. Most of the time, I have someone cutting my fabric for me. But as of late, it's been easier for me to do it than for me to yell at the person that normally cuts my fabric for me. Okay, I say 28, it's only 18. Boy, I can read today too, yeah. There isn't a whole lot of margin for error, as that this fabric is kind of expensive. And cutting 2 panels. Ta-da! Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with my backing fabric. Okay, so we've matched up our white fabric with the printed fabric. And we're going to sew the printed fabric face down. And doesn't matter, I'm using pink thread just because that's what was in my machine. So I'm going to sew around it, and then I'm going to turn it just like you would a blanket. And then I'm going to iron it and then set the seams and then probably zigzag around to just help hold it. And then we'll go from there.